welcome back. Welcome back this week to another episode of the Acceler8 YouTube online tutorial channel.
All encompassing.
Yeah, all encompassing. But again, welcome back. It's been great. We did our first class 2 weeks ago. We've had a lot of momentum since then. A lot of people wrote in, talked to us, hit us up on social media as well.
Thank you guys for the feedback. That was awesome.
And it's been all positive.
Yes.
So it's been really great. But obviously since then, we've been working in the COVID world.
Yes.
As well as, protests, our day jobs kind of get in the way sometimes. So we had to come to you this week on a pre-recorded video. We couldn't do the live video only because we had some issues coming up on that particular Saturday. So that's why this is recorded. But it's still going to be awesome. We're going to be able to be able to record it a little bit better, show what's going on this week as far as, in our episode.
So back at you, Acceler8 Education Group. I'm Derek.
Charles Woodruff, Woody, however we want to go with it.
And here we go. So we're back at it. What we're talking about is our class, with our jobs, with the education this year, it's always adapting. So we're adapting once again because of things going on this weekend. We had big news as of yesterday, the man up top. So the sickness is real and it's coming at you, so we're trying to limit the exposure. So here we are doing our part. So students, sorry for not being at the shop this week, but here we go. We're gonna have some great content for you.
Let's stay positive. We're getting through this. So hopefully, by next year we'll have in-person classes, and that'll complement our online part of it. So.
Out the way. Let's talk about some upcoming events we have coming up. We have a huge following because of last weekend or last class. A lot of people reaching out to us saying, "Hey, can you guys do this? Hey, can you guys go there?" So we reached out to a few people over the last couple weeks, and the feedback has been phenomenal. So we got some field trips coming up for you guys. So stand by and ride the wave.
We're working on a couple places: Peterson Museum,
Galpin
Auto, Barris Shop. I mean, these are going to be some really iconic places to go to. So
that's some big heavy. I mean, we got more than that, but that's 3 right there. Those like dream shops to work in. So
we definitely have to thank right off the bat our sponsors: Borla, ID Agency, PK Auto Design. We're out here again at PK's shop out here in Sylmar, California. It's totally busy out there. The guys are getting the place ready so we can do our show, but they're always got stuff going on in here. Lucas Oil and then Brom Seats. So definitely thanks a lot for helping us out.
Absolutely, and one we're in the workshop right now. It's not finalized just yet, but why not? Lavaggio, the art of auto detailing. We might have something going on there really special here in the next couple weeks, so stand by for that one.
When we talked about the people writing in, some people were writing in things they wanted to see, and that was one of them, detailing.
Yeah,
so we're doing a detailing episode. We're actually even talking about doing an episode on how to drive stick.
That'd be fun.
That'd be crazy. Fun. So we're excited about it. Another thing we want you to make sure you take a look at while you're on our channel, definitely subscribe to the channel to help us out so you know the upcoming information that's coming out. But go to our website, acceler8education.org. Go on there. We just released our online store. We're working with 511 Tactical and a couple other companies coming on board, so we have some of their products in there, so you can get in there and be able to buy some really cool, trendy items in our store and help.
Absolutely.
The store helps our program out, but again, it's a way for us to be able to give back and help out our sponsors too. What are we going to talk about today? What's our class about?
Tires.
Yes, tires. Who thinks about tires? I mean, we drive on them every day. We get in, they're there. The only time we're really worried about it is when they go flat.
Yes.
And we have to fix them, or we have to repair them or replace them. But we're going to definitely go through an entire class on the importance of tires.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and nobody really thinks about it, but it's one of those things that's where the rubber meets the road. So the thing is, I don't care what kind of horsepower. Yes. I don't care what kind of horsepower you have in your car. I don't care what kind of things you do in your car, modifications. If you don't have the proper tires in your car, you're not going anywhere. It's a paperweight at that point. You can have a 1,000 horsepower car, but if you have terrible tires, the car that's 200 horsepower is going to destroy you on the drag strip. So tires. Why are tires important? That's what we're going to get into today. So stand by.
We're going to talk about how to read tires, tread wear, performance, safety in the rain with tires, which is very important, especially with us coming up into the winter months here.
And the rainy California.
Yes, the one day of rain in California, we got to be prepared for it. But yeah, so we're definitely going to go through that. So stick with us. It's going to be a really good show. See you in a few.
Perfect. All right, class, here we go. Back at it again. We're going to talk about some tires. So first thing we want to do is introduce our lead instructor, Paul at PK Auto Design. He's got some great information for you guys today. So first thing we want to do is how to read tires. What are we looking at today?
So we got a nice variation of tires over here. We have a Max Performance summer tire from Michelin.
Yes.
We have a R compound tire from Nankang, and then we actually have a set of drag radials over here that are paired up with welds, and these are actually customer wheels, but we're going to use this as a great explanation in regards to how to know the differences between each type of tire, and then generally reading the sidewall, being able to dictate size, DOT, which is the production period or time slot of when the wheel was produced, tread wear, and then a few other things in regards to max PSI on a tire, and width, diameter, aspect ratio.
Awesome. Let's jump into it. So let's stack this up here so we can see. So we're looking at the 275/40 ZR20.
Yes.
Like if someone else was looking at this, that's not a car guy, that's not the everyday, hey, this is what I do for a living. But if somebody was walking out to their car, to their parents' car, what would they get from these numbers?
So there's three steps to break the size down. All right, 275 is actually the width of the tire. All right. The second set of numbers, most people get confused and they just think it's the thickness. Actually, it's the correlation. It's called aspect ratio. So when we say 275, we're talking about 275 for the width of the tire itself, from edge to edge. 40 in this case is the aspect ratio. So that correlates to how thick this is, percentage-wise, to the actual section width of the tire. And then the last set of numbers is the diameter of the wheel that this tire is used for. So 275 by 40% by 20 millimeters, sorry, not millimeters, but 20-inch diameter for the wheel itself. Now, a really important thing as well isn't just this set of numbers, it's also the speed rating.
Yes.
So there's different speed ratings, Z, Y, W, and all that pretty much states is that the manufacturer says that this tire can exceed 167 miles an hour, or up to 167, up to 189, or less. It all just depends on what the specific tire is produced for.
Yes.
And then that's how they actually will go ahead and build that speed rating.
Perfect. So there's a lot of information on the tires. Michelin does a great job putting information on there. They tell you what side it's on. They tell you direction pattern. But also one of the big numbers that I like to see, especially for a performance guy like myself, is this DOT rating of the 2520.
So DOT is actually, DOT, what does that stand for? First thing first, Department of Transportation.
Yes.
Every tire needs to have on the sidewall the year and week that the tire is produced. So in this case, when it says 2520, that means the 25th week of 2020 this tire was produced. So this is actually a fresh tire, which is nice. We ourselves at the shop prefer to have tires no older than 3 years. Why 3 years? Let's be realistic. Tires are produced, they're put on the shelves by the tire manufacturers or by the distributors, and they stay there until guys like us order the tire. So sometimes we'll see the 25th week of 2019 or 2018. We prefer really not to pass the 3-year mark. And that's just more so our case. We just don't want to have an older tire being placed onto a client's application.
It is rubber, and especially the cars coming out of the shop, we've seen some serious horsepower cars, track dedicated cars. You don't even be putting a tire on there that's older than 3 years old and then get cracking rubber and stuff like that that's dry.
Dry rot is a big thing. Sometimes we'll get cars in here and we look at the first thing at the tires, and obviously we'll get into talking about wear pattern and all of that, but we'll see dry rot, and that's specifically because the tire is older, and what ends up happening is they just dry up and start rotting. Rubber itself has a half-life. So at a certain point they get dry and brittle, and that's actually a big safety issue.
No, definitely. One of the things that I see a lot is you get all these young people out there putting all this high performance stuff in the cars, but the tires are lasting in their mind. And what I say to every time is, that's where the rubber meets the road. I don't care what you do in the car, you can have 2,000 horsepower, but if you have dry rotted tires or tires that are not set up for that environment, you're not doing anything.
Of course, I mean the rule of thumb that I have myself is I prefer to have the car built from ground up, which means you address your wheel and tire application in correlation to what you're using the vehicle for, right? And then you do your suspension components, springs, coilovers, bushings, support braces, and then you get into power. And a lot of people we see, they'll come in here with the concept of power, but if you don't have a stable footprint, it's a very dangerous situation that you walk into with high horsepower cars. Specifically, you know, more so in our case, the American muscle side of things, rear-wheel drive cars, you get a lot of power and then you don't have the stability. Well, that's, you know, not a great equation for safety.
Was suspension components, and one of the things on a track what we look for is how the tire is wearing. So far as, are they more on the inside corners? Are they wearing out the outside faster? Is the middle wearing faster? And we can kind of see how the car is set up and also what kind of tire pressure they're running.
Of course. So tire wear itself has a lot for us. When we read tire wear, we can kind of categorize, is it an alignment issue or is it a tire pressure issue?
Absolutely.
Right? So as you start manipulating suspension, you get negative camber. That's a natural thing. But with negative camber, you get toe. All right. Well, with that, and you were talking about track tires. Well, depending on if you have more right corners or left corners, that actually will tell you how you're going to wear the inside or the outside, left to right on a tire. That's why a lot of guys with track setups want to go square. They need more stability and the ability to rotate. Exactly. So let's talk about tire wear, and we're going to grab this R compound tire right here. This is from Nankang. Difference.
Slightly used,
but used really well. So R compound tires to regular street tires. The compound itself is more grippy. I'm not going to get into the whole science of it. Just consider a little bit more rubber and a lot more grip on a tire. Now, as you can see in the difference between these two, is that you have a lot more tread cut here and not as much tread cut here. Why is that? Well, DOT tires or tires that you can drive on the street require you to have tread cut to disperse of water and or in some cases with all season tires and winter tires, you can disperse of anything that's underneath the tire itself, right?
That's why you have sand tires and mud tires and trucks.
They're all different, paddle tires and all that. So in this case, you don't see as much tread cut on an R compound tire because the whole purpose of it is more contact patch to the ground, optimizing your grip ability. The downside with an R compound tire is it wears out a lot faster. And more so in regards to road condition and in regards to how you're using the vehicle.
Heat and everything.
Exactly.
Plays a factor.
The big thing is on an R compound tire, not only will you wear faster, but you are more likely to see this. Now, this tire has been used on the track multiple times, so all of this extra material you see is actually gummed up rubber. Our compound tires tend to dust up, is a term that we use, where they just kind of get used and they dust over and you get a lot of just rubber dust.
You know, that's why it's so important to. That's why it's so important to heat up the tires before you go on. After you get on the track, do a couple warm-up laps and get all that extra rubber off of there. And
Absolutely. But not going too far into the track side of things, let's talk about wear. All right. So in regards to wear, you have two very important things, and this actually correlates to your tire pressure. All right. As you increase your tire pressure, the tire will have the tendency, like a balloon, to want to blow out. And you will actually go ahead and wear the center of your tire out more. If you are under pressure, the outside edges will want to wear out more because the center is now in sense, think of it flat, and now it's kind of curved upwards or convex the other way around. So tire pressure is a really important factor. Street driving to track driving and drag driving, they all have their different types of tire pressure. And that also correlates to tire size. All right. And that's for another conversation.
We'll talk about that later.
But really important thing is always check your tire pressure. My rule of thumb for myself, even on my personal vehicle, is once a week I like to check my tire pressure because air itself, it inflates and deflates based off of temperature.
Especially with the heat. If you keep the car in the garage, it'll be one temperature versus if you're 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes out on the road, it's going to be huge
cold to hot temperatures are very different. A big thing I'm going to say is your cars have a sticker on the B pillar or on the front driver door, and it says the tire pressure. That tire pressure is cold pressure, not hot pressure. So you want to check in when the tire is cold.
Yes.
All right. So best, obviously, if you haven't driven for a few hours or overnight, you check it. You know, go to your local shop, uncle's place, wherever you want, and have the tires going. You know, filled up to the proper PSI.
Quick thing before pressures. And just recommended pressures. What we have here is 3 different tire compounds, obviously, and road course tire, a performance street tire, and a legit, straight up drag racing tire.
So this is a Mickey Thompson bias ply ETR tire.
Yes. So I know from experience I mean, it's obviously personal preference. It's also road conditions, also heat, and the way the tire's prepped. But I mean, I've seen guys run as low as 15 pounds of pressure in a drag tire, where your street tire is going to be upwards of 35 pounds of pressure of cold, and then your track tire I've run at 26 pounds of pressure. So it's just all a matter of driving conditions, what you're doing, and also with the street tire in mind, you got to worry about gas mileage.
Yes,
that plays a big factor.
A lot of people go, well, how's it going to affect my gas mileage? Yes, do wider tires add more weight? They do, but the main factor is your tire pressure.
Yes.
Your tire pressure being lower or your tire pressure being higher, well, being too high is a bad thing.
Yes.
Being too low is a bad thing.
Yes.
But if it's too low, there's too much resistance.
Yes.
And what ends up happening is it actually decreases your gas mileage.
Which is absolutely.
Which is a pretty big part, especially with us within the world. We commute, we're driving.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have the most efficient drive, and having the proper tire pressure will really assist you in that.
It saves the wear on the tire, saves some money in your pocket at the gas pumps. It's a great thing overall.
It's a win-win in my books.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the only other thing I can turn around and tell you is don't drive on bias plies on the street.
Or the race tires, they will not last you very long. So not a great idea. Get some good street tires and get the performance tires for that particular thing. If you can track the car to the track, then absolutely that's best. But if you have to, get there somehow, but just don't drive these on the street. They're not very good. If they're standing water, it's chaos. Don't do it.
I'm gonna actually add into a little bit on that. So I've actually driven on our compound tires on one of our shop cars. It's a great experience.
Yes.
But the big thing is you have to be able to also read the weather conditions.
Yes.
So if it's hot and dry, great. You
Yeah.
can drive on an R compound tire. You can drive on a max performance tire. And if you feel like you want to really drive on a drag radial, you can. And there are drag radials that are DOT approved drag radials that are meant for street usage, which is great. However, when it gets colder, and I mean, California doesn't see the 4 seasons in Southern California, but once it does get colder and we do get wet conditions, having a tire that has more tread cut is going to be a lot safer for you and the individuals around you while you're driving than having an R compound or a drag radial. It really isn't recommended on our side driving on R compound or drag radials in wet conditions, because it could just really add up to a bad situation if you are not experienced. And even if you are experienced, the people around you may not be as experienced. So always be considerate of not only your safety, but of other people's safeties around you.
For the parents out there, if you get an opportunity to go to a CHP junkyard, we can see exactly what we're talking about. A lot of those cars out there are phenomenal vehicles, but if you look at the tires, they got drag tires on the car, race tires on the car. In wet conditions, it's a disaster. Do not do it. So for the parents out there, that's one of the trips you can do. Take your kids to, take your students to, show them the different, some of these different results. It may make them think twice about driving too hard on the street. So please slow it down. Stay safe out there.
All right, so that's the show. That's an awesome week. Again, awesome to be able to go in and be able to see about tires.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of overlooks it, but
absolutely.
Definitely, if you want to just recap really quick.
Yeah, just like I said, just make sure you go check your tires, make sure you got the right air pressure in your tires, make sure you got the right tread in your tires for the driving conditions you're in, and also the style of driving you're doing. But also the tread wear is important, the style of tire is important. We do have some hot weather right now, but we know October's coming upon us, and that could change here drastically in the near future. So check the tires, make sure you got the right air pressure, and big thing is make sure you got the right air pressure due to gas mileage. That's a big thing now. You want to save as much as possible. You don't want to be throwing money out the window. If you do, just send it over to us. We can definitely use it. So
yes, definitely. So again, thanks for joining us today. It's been put out again. It was recorded, so you saw today's show. It's Saturday, and our next show is in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So stand by for that. We're working on that to be at the Barris Auto Custom Shop out in it's kind of Burbank area, Universal City. So it's going to be a really great episode. Hopefully by then we'll be a little bit laxed on the COVID, and we'll be able to get a couple of students to be able to stand by with us. But check us out, Acceler8Education.org for our website. Go to our store, buy some gear, or just drop us a line and hit us up on the website itself. But also follow us on social media, Acceler8LA on Instagram and Facebook.
All the proceeds go to helping the students get a better education and better experience. So we can really use you guys' help. So feel free to drop a line. Feel free to hit that donate button and help out the students. These students are they're looking for your support. So appreciate it. Once again, looking for those comments for this feedback from this show, and talk to you guys soon.
All right. See you next week.